People often ask me, what has had the biggest positive impact on your performance over the last few years? And they expect me to say something like writing the book, starting a business, working with elite athletes. But honestly, one of the biggest changes come from sitting quietly for 10 minutes a day. And I hated it when it started. Welcome back to the Cognitive Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Clint, high performance coach, speaker, and author of The Cognitive Athlete. Over the last few episodes, we've talked about decision quality, overload, pressure, emotions, and performance under pressure. This week, I want to talk about something that sits underneath all of them: consistency. Most people don't have a knowledge problem, they have a consistency problem. They know what works. The challenge is doing it often enough for it to matter. Let's dive into it. For years, I used to tell myself that running was my meditation. I'd go for a run, clear my head, solve problems, and honestly, I thought that was enough. When I was a physical training instructor in the RAF, exercise was built into the day. Movement was part of the culture. Then I moved into a corporate office. Suddenly, those opportunities disappeared. Meetings filled the calendar, lunch breaks got shorter, and sitting at my desk became the new normal. So I needed to find another way to create that mental space. That's when I started experimenting with meditation. I committed to 10 minutes a day. It was nothing heroic, just 10 minutes. And I ended up doing it for 405 consecutive days. At the start, I hated it. It felt really awkward. It was so boring. And I thought it was a bit pointless. I didn't feel any calmer. I didn't feel more focused. And I certainly didn't feel more enlightened. But you know what? I just kept showing up. 10 minutes every day. And over time, something changed. I became more aware of my thoughts. I became more aware of my emotions and my behaviours. I felt calmer. I was definitely less reactive, and I was more deliberate and intentional. And here's the interesting thing. The benefits didn't come from one amazing meditation session. They came from 405 average ones. Here is the performance trap. I think this is where many people get performance wrong. We love intensity, big goals, big efforts, big transformations. We love the idea of changing everything overnight. But high performance rarely works that way. Most meaningful results come from those small actions repeated consistently over time. It's nothing exciting, nothing glamorous, but it is very effective. I saw this constantly when I worked as a fitness trainer. People would come to me wanting to lose weight. Most were looking for fast results with minimal effort, the shortcut, the quick fix, the magic program. But the clients who got the results, guess what? They did the boring stuff. They turned up, they tracked their macros, they made small adjustments, and they repeated those behaviors week after week after week. And it was nothing revolutionary. It was just consistency. Then I had other clients who would lose weight quickly only to put it all back on again. Up and down, chasing outcomes instead of their habits. The same thing happens with building muscle. Nobody gets stronger for one great workout. It's the reps. The right amount of resistance applied consistently over time. That's how adaptation happens. And performance at work is no different. Here's what I see out in the field. One of the biggest myths about performance is that people need more information. Honestly, most leaders that I work with already know what to do. They know they should exercise, take breaks. They know they should have that difficult conversation. They know they should plan their week. So the problem isn't knowledge. The problem is consistency. And when we work together, we rarely start with massive changes. We start small. We stack habits and then we build momentum. For one leader, it might be finishing work at 5:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday. And not because leaving early is the goal, because arriving home with energy changes the quality of time with their family. For another leader, it might be becoming intentionally unavailable. I love that. Be intentionally unavailable. Not jumping in to solve every problem, but allowing their team to think, learn, and develop the capabilities of problem solving on their own. For someone else, it might be a 5-minute break between meetings. And we've talked about all the science behind that as well. And that 5 minutes is to reset, to think, to breathe, to prepare. These small actions repeated consistently. That's where performance changes. Not from one big breakthrough, but from small behaviours that compound over time. After working with athletes, leaders, executives for many years, here's what I've learned. High performance is surprisingly repetitive. It's not built on occasional heroics. It's built on doing the basics really well. Repeat, repeat, repeat. The workout, the recovery, the planning, that difficult conversation, the preparation, and the pause between meetings. It's nothing flashy and it's nothing revolutionary. It's just consistent execution. And maybe that's the lesson. We spend a lot of time looking for the next big thing, when often the biggest gains come from doing the simple things consistently. Performance doesn't usually change in dramatic moments. It changes in daily habits, repeated over time. Okay, let's turn this into action. This week is not about doing more. It's about becoming more consistent. Action number 1. Identify one high impact habit. What's one behavior that would improve your effectiveness if you did it consistently? Maybe it's planning your week every Friday, having that difficult conversation, protecting your thinking time, asking more coaching questions. Maybe it's taking a break between meetings. Or my favorite, leaving work on time twice a week. Just choose one, not 5, just choose one. Action number 2. We need to make it repeatable. Don't make it bigger, make it easier. Make it smaller, bit more realistic. The goal isn't getting the intensity. The goal is just repetition. So ask yourself this: could I realistically do this every week for the next 6 months? If the answer is no, make it a bit smaller. Action number 3. Track the behavior. Most people track outcomes. High performers track behavior. Don't ask, did I get the result? Ask, did I do the habit? Outcomes take time. Behaviors happen today. And here's an important rule for this week. Don't focus on doing more. Focus on missing less. So let's bring this together. The biggest performance gains often come from the smallest behaviors, repeated consistently. The goal isn't intensity. The goal is consistency. Consistency compounds. And over time, those small habits, they become big results. Next week, we'll talk about what happens when expectations rise and the pressure gets real. How do you continue to perform when the stakes get higher? We'll unpack that next week. And before we wrap up, I have a special invitation for you. If this season is resonating with you and you're ready to improve how you perform under pressure, I'm opening the next 10-week Cognitive Athlete Training Cycle. It starts on the 27th of July. Over 10 weeks, we'll work on focus, decision quality, energy, routines, recovery, and those performance habits that actually stick. I've got 9 places available. And if you'd like to work with me directly, head to the link in the show notes or head over to the website cognitiveathlete.com.au and book a call in my diary. High performance isn't accidental. It's trained. If you've listened all the way to the end of this episode and thought, man, Clint keeps repeating the same thing over and over and over, guess what? You're right. That was intentional. Remember, high performance is surprisingly repetitive. The things that improve performance aren't usually new. They're the things we already know done consistently. This week, don't focus on doing more. Focus on turning up, repeating those behaviors that matter. And if someone comes to mind while listening, share the episode with them and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.